My name is Delaney Pavlicek, and today I'm going to be talking about Schindler disease. Schindler disease is an alpha-N acetylgalactosaminidase deficiency, also known as alpha-nega. And this is an enzyme that becomes defective, and it causes a buildup of substrates. So there's three types of Schindler disease: type 1, type 2, and type 3. Type 1 is officially known as Schindler disease. It's an infantile onset. It develops around age 2, and one of the major symptoms is infantile neuroaxonal dystrophy. And this means that infants at around age 2 begin to lose the motor skills that they had already begun developing from age 0 to 2. And this can be diagnosed by taking a blood sample and looking at the enzyme activity level. Type 2 is known as Kawasaki disease. This is an adult onset. It can develop at any age, and diagnosis is difficult, and it may take years before it is figured out what's going on. One of the major symptoms here is angiokeratoma corpus diffusum, and this is when you get black spots all over your body, and they have a texture similar to what a mole would feel like. And then there is also a type 3 that does not have a name, but it is also adult onset, and it's a combination of the phenotype of type 1 and type 2. The pathophysiology. Type 1 symptoms include hypotonia, which is decreased muscle tone; areflexia, where the muscles quit responding to stimuli; rigidity, spasticity, deafness, blindness, and mental deterioration. Type 2 symptoms include lymphedema, which is the swelling which occurs typically in your upper extremities and your lower extremities, like arms, hands, and feet and legs. And it includes neurological involvement, peripheral neuropathy, sensorineural hearing loss, and recurrent vertigo attacks. Each person is different from the next, so some of the symptoms may be present while others aren't, and it just varies from person to person. Etiology. Molecular lesion on the alpha-galactosamine gene. This is what causes Schindler disease. So the code on the gene is for 411 amino acids and a single peptide with 17 residues. So what happens when the mutation occurs is the 411 chain drops down to 394, and this is what causes the alpha-nega deficiency. So what happens is you have this really long chain, a mutation comes along, and a piece of it gets broken off, and the enzyme alpha-nega kind of disappears, and it no longer breaks down the substrates that it's supposed to. Prevalence. Schindler disease is extremely rare. To this day, there has only been fewer than 20 cases that have been reported and studied. And it's super important to report new cases because there's still a lot of research being done, and there's not everything we know about the disease. We just want to make sure we see from person to person different symptoms, the different types, and it's just super important to report new cases. So the related populations and the lifespan considerations. If a child is diagnosed with type 1 Schindler disease, they will typically live to be around age 6 and not much past that. The symptoms occur starting around age 2, and they slowly start to affect the child more and more around a span of 4 years from 2 to 6. Type 2 is different, and there was a case study on a man. He was diagnosed in 1994 with Kawasaki disease, and he is still alive in 2019. Although his symptoms have progressively gotten worse over the years, his lifespan has been a lot longer than if you were to have type 1 Schindler disease. So there is not a lot of risk factors for Schindler disease because it's autosomal recessive. And this means that both parents have to have the alpha-nega mutation on that gene and give it to the child. So that's why it's such a low prevalence of the disease. However, if you do have Schindler's disease and you have blood type A, you're more likely to have a progressive deterioration than someone else. This is because the substrates that alpha-galnac breaks down is more prevalent in blood type A than the other types. So those substrates that are already being built up are going to be built up even faster. Schindler's disease is a lysosomal storage disease, and it is related to other diseases such as Tay-Sachs. And what they have in common here is they all are a genetic defect in one or more of the lysosomal enzymes. So the medical management of the diagnosis. There's no cure for Schindler disease. So unfortunately, all you can do is treat the symptoms that are present. However, there are currently 3 types of treatment used on other types of LSDs. They're not specific to Schindler's disease, but they could potentially be. So the first type of treatment used is enzyme replacement therapy. And this means that there are purified injections of the enzyme injected into the body to break down that substrate that's building up. The second type is substrate reduction therapy. And this is there's an inhibitor of the enzyme that's upstream in the biosynthetic pathway, and it reduces the substrate accumulation. And then there's also a third type, pharmacological chaperone therapy, and this means that the mutated enzyme is stabilized by an additional small molecule chaperone. Condition-related precautions. Because this is an autosomal recessive trait, there's nothing you can really do to prevent this disease from happening. It's not something you can catch from somebody else or something like that. You're born with it, and there's nothing that you can do. Tonight we will be playing Schindler Disease Jeopardy. We have our contestants, Ty, Mom, and Dad. Ty, you're the youngest, so go ahead and choose your category.
Types 100.
How many types of Schindler disease are there?
3.
Ooh, I think Mom had it this time.
3.
Correct. Go ahead and choose the next question.
Extras for 100.
How many people have been diagnosed with Schindler's disease? Dad.
Less than 20.
Correct. Go ahead and choose the next question.
Extras for 200.
Okay. What are the 3 types of lysosomal storage disorder treatments? Dad.
Enzyme replacement therapy, substrate reduction therapy, and pharmacological chaperone therapy.
Correct. Go ahead and choose the next question.
Etiology for 100.
Okay. Which gene mutates to cause Schindler disease? Mom.
Alpha-galnac.
Correct.
Types for 200.
Which type of Schindler disease is the infantile onset? Ty.
Type 1.
Yes, you are correct. Okay, that leaves us with one question. Etiology for 200. How do you get Schindler disease? Dad.
It's an autosomal recessive mutation, and both parents have to have it.
Correct. Ty and Mom are neck and neck at 200 points, and Dad is in the lead with 500. This leaves us with a final Jeopardy question of why is it so important to report new cases? Go ahead. All right, contestants. Ty, we will start off with you. How many points did you wager?
I wagered 200 points, and my answer is beans.
Okay. Mom, how many points did you wager?
I wagered 200 points because it is important to report new cases so we can learn about the disease.
Okay. And Dad, how many points did you wager?
3. So we can study them.
All right. Mom and Dad, you are both correct. And Dad, with your $3 wager, coming in first place with 503 points.
Woo!
And Mom in second with 400.